Okay, so good morning. So today we are going to discuss the principal practicum and what's required for observation 1. We've already met in regards to the agenda, which is right here. The one we created. Now we just have to go over it and agree on dates, agree on what the requirements are for you, for myself, and for the supervisor.
Okay.
Okay, so here it is. I'm going to be following here. And here are the goals. For principal practicum, the goals are to complete the practicum with the expectations and TA requirements. I had to have passed the principal exam prior to starting this, which I already passed.
Okay.
I passed in January. So this is why I'm here right now. And then of course I have to complete successfully 160 hours of leadership activities. And then also successfully complete 3 videotape observations, this one being the first one, to sum up to 135 minutes. And of course, one of the biggest goals is to be able to have effective communication, coaching, and of course, mentoring on your part.
Okay.
Questions so far?
No, nothing so far.
Okay, great. So here are the TA requirements. Observation. For a practicum, an educator preparation program must provide a minimum of 3 observations during the term of the practicum, which is what we're in for the next 7 weeks. And this is for any candidate seeking professional certification as a superintendent, principal, which is what I'm doing, school counselor, school librarian, or an educational diagnostician. Each educator preparation program shall provide a practicum, and that's defined by a minimum of 160 hours.
Okay.
So I completed my...
In 7 weeks.
And of course, if it takes longer than the 7 weeks, I think the only thing that will be is the 160 hours, if it takes more than 7 weeks. I did get my master's first, which I completed, and then once I went on to decide to get my certification for principal, that's when this new 160 hours...
On top of that.
Yes, on top of that. And then of course, here it is. Again, 3 videotape observations with the agendas, which is what we have right here. 160 field activities with coaching, communication, and mentoring, which will go what kind of activities I will fulfill. And of course, the course requirements and TA forms that we've already signed when we first spoke. So my professors or the supervisor's role is to observe, coach, supervise, and provide the online classes. You, as a campus mentor, guide, support, and exchange dialogue, and be the mentor. As far as for myself, of course, everything that's required there, the observations, the logs, and to complete the coursework as well.
Maintain the classwork. Okay.
Questions?
Not yet.
Okay, great. And then here it is. We've identified you as an experienced role model who will guide me through professional development, coaching, mentoring, and of course you will assist in improving and providing leadership opportunities for growth, and also assist intern in improving skills and be better prepared for the role of a campus leader.
Okay.
So you've been the lucky one to be selected to be my mentor.
That's okay.
And thank you for taking on the responsibility.
We can handle that.
Okay, so of course here's another slide with again your role to provide the job development through mentoring, involve student and school improvement project, support student for successful observation, create linkage between theory and practice, provide quality leadership opportunities for growth through the mentoring and log hours, and assure student end of course assessment.
Is that the final exam?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I think that we need to get some clarification on exactly what that is. I think it's based on an assessment you give me over everything we've done.
So I have to do okay, like a walkthrough type assessment.
Something
Okay.
like that. And of course we've been as we go every agenda, every observation, we'll exchange dialogue after we've completed, or I've completed the observation with the feedback he gives me.
Okay.
Okay, so benefits for you. You get to reflect on your own skills and practices. Recognition as a successful administrator, collaboration and assistance on campus improvement project and strategies. So
What's Guazi?
I think it's Guasu, like Spanish, like Guasu. Okay. More responsibilities. Assist with planning and scheduling activities. Be available for meetings, discussions, clarifications, question and problem solving with the intern. 15 to 20 minute debriefing sessions daily, weekly, reflecting with the intern on the days of activities. Share past experiences and expertise related to the roles and responsibilities of the principal leader. Model effective practices, procedures, strategies, and provide constructive feedback to the intern. Offer opportunities for the intern to attend principal meetings and staff development related to leadership skills. Allow the intern to be meaningful, involved in, and contribute to chosen aspects of the school and supervise that involvement. Campus committees, CIP, projects, etc. And allow the intern to be meaningful, involved in, and contribute to aspects of the campus and supervise that involvement.
Okay. No. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Now here's the interesting part. Here is the TA requirements and the supervisor's role, which is the UTRGV professor. He's to manage all online classes, explain course expectations within the 2 weeks, collect all required forms, provide mentor training, which is this PowerPoint takes care of that. Conduct observation 1 and 2, schedule and complete observations for all students, log development process, communicate and coach student, assure mentor assessment of students completed, monitor student program and provide coaching, and complete all TA required forms, guide student to meet all certifications requirements. And when we first, before we got to this one, that was all that paperwork that was required,
Right.
like signatures from you, the superintendent, as well as
And you'll maintain the logs and all of that.
right,
so
I maintain the logs, and then you just, as the week goes on,
sign off on them.
yes. Okay, so my responsibilities again: attend all online classes, complete the TA forums, class assignments, the 160 logs, develop observation agendas with the videotape observation. The pre-conference is what we have before, what we did when we created this agenda. So
Mhm.
for every observation that I complete, I'll have to complete an agenda, show you this is what I'm going to do next. And then at the end, once he signs the form, gives me the form, then we'll go over what his feedback was, and then you sign it, which is kind of what I mentioned earlier. Hold needed conferences with mentor on student assessment instrument and process, and communicate and engage in coaching schedules with mentor and university supervisor. Plan, organize, and complete all course expectation and certifications process.
That's a bunch of stuff.
That is a bunch of stuff. So here's where it gets interesting. The 160 hours. Here are the leadership activities required, categories and examples. So of course everything has to fall into the principal standards. Here are some examples. So policy reviews, the board grading policy, FERPA laws, LPAC policy, interviews, assistant principal, maybe handle discipline issues, attend district language arts coordinator meetings or have that title, student committees instructional, the 504 RTIs, LPACs, GT, those meetings, and then shadowing. I can shadow you throughout this coursework through walkthroughs, dialogues, what we mentioned that every week I should meet with you to exchange some kind of whatever's going on. Principle about areas of academic concern, maybe staffing and scheduling, whatever it is that's happening, just if you can share with me.
There's 19 areas there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a minimum number of hours in each one?
No, as long as they kind of get.
But you do have to have something in each one of them.
Yes.
But you'll be the one to categorize
I'll be
stuff.
the one. Yes, I'll
And
categorize
if there's something
everything.
I'm missing, then you can let me know.
Yes, and I can categorize everything through what standard it applies to, and so on. And of course, attend trainings, presentations, to hold some kind of presentations, discipline, conference with students, curriculum instruction, curriculum alignment, principals meetings, attend key meetings, SVDM, which I'm already a part of, so I'll already be there. CIP assistant updating documents, offer assistance with monitoring component, administrative tasks. If you have anything you feel like you would like to hand over to me, please do so. Communicate with parents, and then of course the special projects fall under, you want me to do X, Y, and Z. If we need to analyze some kind of data for a specific subject, I can do that. And then of course supervision of duties, which that one I know is only a minimum of 10 hours for supervision duty that I can do, because of course I can't have like 50 hours of supervision duties.
And yeah, like comprehensive CNA, comprehensive needs assessment
Mm-hmm.
would go for probably there. That's something that Eva's gonna need help with. Okay.
So here is an example of how it's all broken up. for a total of 135 minutes. I submit the agenda to my supervisor, Dr. Garcia. We have a pre-conference, you and I, and then you help me plan it out, whatever it is I'm going to do or complete, and then we have the post-conference after. So we'll do the same for observation 1, 2, and 3 to sum up 135 minutes, which they have to be 135.
And these all are pre-approved.
Right.
Okay.
So, of course, and this is what we had agreed on.
Right.
The 3 different ones we agreed on.
Pre-approved by me or pre-approved
Yes,
by
like
your,
the one.
your instructor?
So you know how we discussed the first one being
Right.
this one? The second one is the parent meeting that we're going to have with the nurturing the mental health. And the third one is the springboard adoption. I'm going to attend the training, and then I'm going to come back and present to my department and grade level.
And these are already approved
Yeah,
by
he,
your,
mhm.
yeah, okay, your instructor.
Right. Okay, so then again, here's another overview of the practicum. This is the first one. What we're doing now, sharing the responsibilities, plan the practicum, and then kind of mention the log hours, observation, identify school improvement project, which we already did. We'll go over it again. And that's what observation 1. Observation 2, this is the one we said I would do the parent meeting, the end of the year parent meeting with Ms. Martinez. And then observation 3 will be the springboard with the department and grade level. And then this is the one where we mentioned that I would look at the 6th grade reading.
For the improvement plan.
Right, for the campus improvement plan. So this is where I would gather the 6th grade data for 6th grade reading star, and then specifically try to look at ELL students and SPED students and see what it is that they're still missing, and just try to analyze it a bit. Okay?
So far, I'm still good with it.
Okay, so then here are examples, trainings, new teachers, develop and revise course management plan, committee work, attendance, curriculum reading, new initiatives that we might have for next year, and improve parental involvement program, which is one that we already actually...
Yeah, that's the one you want to do with Linda.
Yes. So that's it
The
for this
basic for the
before we go
agenda.
over the agenda, yes. Questions?
No. Now, at some point in time, am I going to fill out evaluation forms on each of the observations?
No, you don't have to.
So the instructor fills out the evaluation?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the one that we'll look at after, once I submit the link to the video. And then once he sees it, then he'll do the evaluation, and he'll send it back, and then I share with you. I'm able to share with you. Then this is the strengths, these are the weaknesses. I mean, of course, at any time that you attend those meetings, you can always give me feedback on
Yeah,
how
no,
to
I just
improve.
meant I'm saying how much paperwork rather.
How to do, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's look at to be sure that we're all on the same page with what we're going to do. Okay, so we talked about the observations. We talked about the 3 videotape observations again as well. And then, of course, upon completing the observation, the discussion that will take place between you and I. The detailed activity, here are some of the things that I felt were probably going to be most important that I saw myself completing. One was a lot of shadowing. Another one, general administrative task, whatever it may be.
Whatever comes up.
I find a lot of interest in budgeting, audits, operations. I feel like I still need to strengthen my knowledge in that area. Any type of student discipline related activities, I'd like to be involved. Analysis of data, attend principal meetings, attend PLCs. And then the supervision duties, again, only 10 hours. Weekly dialogue exchange with you, LPACs, ARDs, 504s. Trainings, interviews. Kind of want to pick everybody's brain.
But it's okay to work with different people on different topics.
Yes. And
like
I know
alpacking is best done with
counseling
Dora and
department.
Nina
Yes.
and Eva and so
And I
on.
know that even like I've already talked to Ms. Munoz, our special ed department chair, and asked her if she can just fill me in on extra information.
Yeah, like budget with me, because I'm the one that usually does that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then of course special projects again, and then the general supervision of students and stuff.
Okay.
TA requirements, again, all the documents that we had to sign, again, that you know that I passed the test, so I'm okay to be here and doing all this extra work. If not, I couldn't be here doing all this extra work. Observation 1, that's what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Observation 2, this is where we're going to have the parent involvement meeting on nurturing their child's mental health, as well as informing them on summer reading projects, which we had discussed earlier that you felt was very important for them to know, sharing the article you had.
Yes, about summer reading loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole purpose there is going to be to meet with Linda and the parents to try to get parents energized about the idea of having their kids read over the summer, reading with their kids, not just the ones that are here, because I mean they have other kids in the family, so they're going to hopefully raise everybody's level with that.
Mm-hmm. And then the article you shared with us.
Yeah, that's about summer reading loss. That's one, and Carolina Lopez, Dr. Lopez, had originally shared it with me. What it is she reads the Monday message on Sunday, and then throughout the week she'll send supporting documents back. We go back and forth. We have she's one of the few people that have an actual intellectual discussion on the Monday message. So yes. she'll say, hey, how about this article, and that's where some of those came from. But there's also been discussion at principals meetings. So like Elsa's got her goal of having kids check out books to read over the summer, and how she's going to get them to get library cards to the public library, so that kids can do electronic reading. And
that's what we will add also, share with the parents that information on the public library, so that they're aware of what they can do as well come summer, so that they know that they're not alone in trying to go and purchase books. Because I know that with the summer reading, that's always, as a language arts teacher, that's always seems to be the issue where, I had to go run and I couldn't go and buy it. And there's that other here that a lot of people don't know, the Storybook Garden, but it's here in Westaco. They don't have to go to
right on the corner.
Right. So that's another, I think that's important to share at that parent meeting, to let them know about the public library, and if they do have a device, which at this age they all do.
90%, yeah.
Most of them do. That they can download all those books and magazines, and they're available for them.
And Elsa's been showing them that too. Some kids are checking books out.
Yeah. So we will also share that with the parents, because the students might not, share that information with them. So it'll be the mental health overview, along with the importance of the summer reading, and that they understand what can happen if they don't read throughout the summer, as you shared in that article.
No, go ahead. I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and then the third one is the Springboard Adoption, which is a training I will attend half day. After I attend that training, then I'm going to gather all the information. I will come back and share it with the department and grade level to see how they feel about that pre-AP adoption. On that Springboard, could you give me a little bit more information on, because I know we briefly talked about Springboard.
Well, basically, we did Springboard
before I got here.
About 8 years ago, I think it was. And what the purpose of Springboard's through the College Board. And the reason we're going through the training, and this is to decide if we're going to adopt it as a campus. Because pre-AP, if we're going to call a class a pre-AP, we have to have some kind of rigorous scope and sequence that we're following. We can't just say, yeah, this is pre-AP. Now, we got one more year, and after that, then they're going to be auditing classes that we call pre-AP. So the idea right now is we want to look at Springboard and basically say, hey, is this a curriculum or scope and sequence we want to change to? Like right now we have Forethought and Teach Resource System. Okay, so do we want to change to this, use this as our primary, and then use Teach Resource System as supplement? That's the purpose of the training is an introduction, because there's a lot of people who've not used Springboard. It's an introduction, but it'll also give us some information to make better decisions. So that's what the training is, and then we want as wide a disbursement as possible, so that staff members can make an intelligent, we want to do this, and we think this is the way to go. That's
so it's a supplemental.
Well,
it's curriculum for pre-AP.
It can be supplemental, or it can be a whole hog. We can say, hey, we want to use it across the board. I tend to think, well, you know how I am about acceleration, enrichment, and everything. So I think that we can raise all the boats Now, a lot of teachers may disagree, so that's what we need to get the information out, what it's gonna take before we make that decision.
To see if we do actually.
You know, across the
Adopt it or
board
not.
adoption or just selected few.
So, okay, so when I attend that training,
And I'll be there also.
upon my return and after I gather all the information that they share with me, then the goal was to disperse that information, and then gather information and concerns from teachers, find areas of need and who will possibly use the program, and of course then present the training as the final thing to do for here. Final thing to do for Springboard.
Okay.
Okay, now for the other semester projects. So for project 1, I have the mentorship of graduate student, which is Mrs. Taita, since she's going in for curriculum and
That was
instruction.
last fall.
Yes, and then we just kind of just keep on checking in with her, making sure everything's okay. Some things that we did were analysis of data. She reviewed possible strategies to improve areas of weakness. And then, of course, she just ran her training through where I had to attend her training, and she did an awesome presentation on readers theater through using poetry.
Yeah, and Ms. Gonzalez went also to that.
So then project 2, of course, is to be part of the Leader in Me Environment Committee. And some of the things is to ensure that there's a student-friendly environment, complete walkthroughs of campus and find areas of need, how we can improve in the environment to make it look more leader in me. And of course, model behavior and language for teachers, and ensure that the goals are met through completing the walkthrough through the campus to make sure that we can see leader in me all over the walls. So that's ongoing.
And it's getting there. I mean, you got the grade level trees, you got the stuff from the anime club, and then, I mean, there's stuff going on. Like even enrichment days, we're done with the kids getting to choose their schedule, so to empower them and
right.
and,
So that'll
and the
happen
goal
later
there
on.
was, they would make their schedule, and then if they didn't like it, you can change your schedule the next day. But we have a long ways to go. I mean, I think that the elementary's the way they've used it, but we need to make it our own at middle school.
So then just especially for throughout next fall, to just be sure staying on that committee, and then being sure that we stay leader in me in the environment.
Right.
Still says leader in me all over me.
Well, it should say it, but more importantly, it should be acting on it.
Right.
And it's not an overnight process. This is gonna be a growth process, a slow growth process to get the
and like
kids.
you mentioned, because they've already used it in elementary.
Well, they're familiar with the language, but I mean, all of them haven't adopted the mannerisms, I guess would be the word. So there's still some work. There's plenty of work to be done.
Because they will know, like, okay, so think when win first. They'll know exactly what it entails, but they just don't know exactly. Okay, how do I do this?
Yes. When do I do this?
Yes, it's like the like applying it. It's the application part. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the project 3, which is going to be once we receive in May, God willing, or June, whenever we receive those scores in May or June, it'll be
Wednesday.
the 6th grade.
Wednesday, June 13th.
Okay, so then we should have them by then. So then that'll be the 6th grade reading analysis, where, again, as I mentioned, gathering the data, creating some kind of plan for ELL students, and then, of course, to present it.
And I would probably consider adding to the ELL add special ed.
Yes, we had mentioned that earlier.
Those are our 2 areas of probably greatest need.
So this is observation 1. We've officially completed observation 1. And of course I still need observation 2, parent meeting, observation 3, the Springboard adoption. Is there anything else that you see or feel that I should complete along my journey my practicum journey?
One of the things is to take this opportunity to get out of your comfort area. So like, since you normally work with language arts, I would look for opportunities to get exposed to math, science, social, other areas that you don't normally bump into. And the other thing is some of those things that go on behind the scenes, get exposed to how scheduling works, how LPACing works, budget, purchase decisions, needs assessment. There's a lot that as I went from being a teacher to being a facilitator to being a principal, there's a lot of things you bump into that that never occurred to me. I never thought of it. It just happens to happen. And so getting exposed to all that, because if you want to go into mid-management, then you need to go in with your eyes open to, okay, this is you need to see the dirty underside of it too. I got parent conferences.
Because we see everything superficially.
Well, you see bits and pieces, and it's now, and the other thing about mid-management or being because you would start off as a facilitator, but administrator is, you got to set your own agenda or goals, I guess you could say it, your own vision, because you're going to emphasize certain things. All those other things have to get done, but you're going to emphasize these. So this is your chance to, let me get to know all this other stuff, because curriculum gets a large focus, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes into running a building with 1,200 plus people, counting students and staff, and then all the stakeholder families. So use your internship to test the waters on different things. So.
Okay, anything else?
Be careful about being the go-to duty person. In other words, you're not just here to do bus duty and lunch duty. And don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's the one thing I think that sometimes people get real sensitive about, what if I mess this up? And because of that, they become overcautious. We work with kids, we work with parents, and if you make a mistake, the only thing I'll tell you that you start off the conversation with, I'm sorry that happened. Let's see how we can make it better. And that usually diffuses most yelling and screaming and upset people. So, as you're trying to figure out how to do stuff, and don't be afraid to ask, because you learn from everybody. If it has something to do with attendance, I would go talk to Sandra, because she's the one. If it's something to do with registrar or data entry, go see Aleda, because she's the one who, and there's things that she does that you may not think about. For example, and whenever if you follow a discipline referral up the chain from the teacher to the facilitator who contacts the parent, who takes action on it, well, where does that thing go? Well, it ends up in Aleda's office, because she also has to enter it into PEAMS. So getting to know all of this stuff that's going on behind the scenes, ask the questions that you never really thought about in the classroom.
Yes, and I see that already. Even at the very beginning, I see it where it's just a whole different insight. Like, we see, as teachers, we see things one way, and even just, I know that I'm barely starting here, but I've already seen some things, or some, like, for example, office staff. I know that, like you just mentioned, they're like the unsung heroes. They're the ones that they do a lot.
Things that's not noticed.
Yes, things that don't go noticed. As a classroom teacher, we see things and we're like, okay, they're the secretary, but there's so much that their responsibilities, their duties entail as well.
And the other one to caution is, sometimes you got to get all the facts. In other words, before I pull my 6-shooter, I need to make sure that I've got the right issue.
Right.
Because everybody is going to be able to, give you information, and you need to make sure that you don't want to have to go back and undo something. So you want to make sure, before I make my final call, have I got all this, or not all the facts, but as much of a good picture. So use your internship time to, start practicing those skills of, and ask questions, of yourself and of others. And that's it, I think.
And of course, very, very final, I just want to thank you for accepting. I know you have your plate full. You're an exceptional leader here at our campus, and thank you for accepting this role, because I know it still requires me to follow you and bug you.
I see a familiar name there, Dr. Menchaca.
So yes, and this is any contact information in case you may need them. Ruby is the secretary, Dr. Menchaca, of course, in charge, and Dr. Garcia at the very end. He is my supervisor. And of course, you have all the paperwork that we signed earlier. If you
Yeah, no, everything, it should be good, and I don't mind doing it, cause I mean, that's the next generation who has to step up.
So thank you, Mr. Garlick, I appreciate it, and that's the end.
Thank you.